My name is Echo, this is Final Arc, and today we are breaking down Solo Leveling Season 2. Let's get into it. Here is something Season 1 never fully answered. Sung Jinwoo survived the double dungeon. He got the system. He climbed from the weakest hunter alive to something no rank could contain. He cleared the Jeju Island raid almost single-handedly. He walked out of situations that should have killed him over and over again, and every single time. He came back stronger, but the entire time, underneath all of it, one question sat there unanswered. Why him? Out of every hunter on the planet, out of every warrior in every country, out of everyone who has ever walked into a gate and come back out, why was it this quiet, ordinary, unremarkable man who got chosen? Season 2 is where that question finally gets an answer, and the answer is bigger than anyone expected. We open right where we left off, Jeju Island. The raid is over. The monarchs of the insect army are dead. Sung Jinwoo stands in the wreckage, and the look on his face is the same look he always has. Calm, present, already somewhere else in his mind. The hunters around him are shaken. Some of them are in tears. They just watched one man do what an entire national team couldn't. And Jinwoo, he's already thinking about the next thing. That one detail tells you exactly what kind of season this is going to be. He didn't stop to celebrate Season 1. He's not going to stop now, because here is what has changed. Jinwoo is no longer grinding. That chapter is fully closed. He is operating at a level so far above the S-rank ceiling that the ranking system itself has become meaningless when applied to him. The Hunter Association knows it. Foreign governments know it. The most powerful guilds in Japan, the United States, China, they've all received the reports. They've all seen the footage, and the reactions are exactly what you'd expect. Some want to recruit him, some want to partner with him, some are quietly having very serious conversations about what happens if he ever becomes a problem. And Jinwoo ignores every single one of them. He shows up when he wants to. He fights what he wants to fight. He answers to no one, not out of arrogance. He's genuinely not interested in politics. He's interested in one thing, the question that has been eating at him since the system first appeared. What is he actually becoming? And what is waiting for him at the top? Then the Monarchs arrive. And nothing is the same after that. Not with a declaration. Not with an army pouring through a gate in broad daylight. The Monarchs are ancient, older than any dungeon, older than any gate, and ancient things do not need to announce themselves. They move through the world the way rot moves through wood, quietly, patiently. A hunter who starts making strange decisions. A government official who begins steering policy in a direction no one can quite explain. A guild leader who suddenly and inexplicably pulls his team from a critical raid at the last minute. The Monarchs don't need to fight their way in. They're already in. They've been seeding the human world with influence for longer than anyone realizes, and the humans who are being used have no idea it's happening. This is genuinely one of the smartest choices the show makes in Season 2, because it would have been easy to introduce the Monarchs with a big dramatic set piece, some massive gate opening, some catastrophic battle that announces their presence. Instead, the show makes you feel their arrival as a slow wrongness, a creeping sense that the rules of the world are changing and no one has been told. That discomfort is intentional, and it works. Jinwoo figures it out before anyone else does. His shadow soldiers are restless. The system is sending signals he's never received before. Something vast and ancient is stirring in the dark, and whatever it is, it doesn't fear him. It recognizes him, and that recognition is the most unsettling thing. The entire first half of the season, but before the war begins, before any of that darkness gets to land, the show gives you the moment that Season 1 spent 2 full years building toward. Jinwoo's mother has been in a coma since before his awakening. She's the one constant wound in his life that strength alone couldn't touch. Every rank he gained, every monster he killed, every level the system handed him, none of it could do a single thing for the woman lying in that hospital bed. And Jinwoo never made a speech about it, never used it to get sympathy, never let it break him in front of anyone. He just carried it, quietly, the same way he carries everything. And then in a scene so understated it hits harder than anything loud ever could, he heals her. He sits beside her bed. He uses an ability the system unlocked without fanfare. Without a dramatic quest, without even a notification that this moment was significant. He just does it, and he waits, and she opens her eyes. Sit with that for a second. This is the most powerful hunter alive. A man foreign governments are genuinely afraid of. A man who has walked through gates that killed everyone around him and came out the other side. And the thing that makes him exhale, the thing that releases something in his chest that has been wound tight since the very first episode, is watching his mother look at his face and know who he is. That is solo leveling at its best. Not the power, not the shadow army, not the incredible animation. This quiet, private moment between a son and his mother, in a hospital room with no audience. That is the emotional core of everything the show has been building. He walks out of that room with a different face than the one he walked in with. Whatever was holding him back, whatever last thread connected him to restraint, it's gone. He's done waiting. The Monarchs choose this exact moment to make their first direct move, and they are not subtle about it. Cities are attacked. Simultaneously across multiple countries. Gates open in locations that have never had dungeon activity before. Hunters who are rated S rank, the best humanity has, are being overwhelmed and killed before they can call for backup. The scale is completely unlike anything that has come before. Jeju Island was a single island. This is coordinated across an entire planet. This is the Monarchs saying, "We are done hiding. We are done being patient." The human world ends now. Jinwoo enters the fight not as a hunter responding to a crisis, as a sovereign deploying an army. He doesn't scramble. He doesn't react with panic. He walks into the largest concentration of enemy forces with his Shadow Legion stretched out behind him, and he commands. Every monster that falls gets absorbed. Every death on the enemy side becomes a permanent addition to his growing army. The monarchs watching from a distance start doing something they haven't done in centuries. They recalculate, because this isn't a human using a dead king's power as a tool. This is something else. This human isn't wielding the Shadow Monarch. He is becoming him. And that is when the system shows Jinwoo the truth. The full truth. All of it. The leveling system was never a reward. The daily missions, the quests, the stat increases. The Shadow Soldiers, none of it was designed to help Jinwoo thrive as a hunter. It was designed to do one specific thing: rebuild the Shadow Monarch, one of the most feared beings in all of existence, inside a human body strong enough to contain him. Jinwoo didn't stumble into a power-up in the double dungeon. He was selected. He was prepared. He was shaped, over years of near-death experiences and impossible odds, into a vessel for something ancient and devastating. Every gate he cleared was training. Every time he refused to die was the process working correctly. He was never just getting stronger. He was being built. And here is where the writing earns its credit, because Jinwoo does not rage against this. He doesn't feel used. He doesn't fall into an identity crisis. He thinks about it the way he thinks about everything, directly, quietly, honestly, and then he makes a decision. He is Sung Jinwoo. Whatever the system intended him to become, the choices were always his. The refusals were always his. The sacrifices were his. The man who healed his mother this morning is the same man standing here right now. That doesn't change because of what's running through him. He accepts the identity not as something imposed on him, but as something he's been growing into his whole life without knowing it. The final arc of Season 2 is war. Actual, full-scale, reality-ending war. The remaining monarchs converge. Multiple dimensions are compromised. Ancient beings who have been dormant for thousands of years are waking up. And into this, for the first time in the history of the show, the rulers arrive. Beings of pure light who stand in opposition to the monarchs, who have watched humanity from a distance and never intervened directly, they come down. And even with all of that power on the field, it still comes back to Jinwoo. Because he is the axis that everything is turning on. He walks toward the enemy, his shadow army, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Every powerful creature he has ever killed marches with him. The human hunters who join the fight aren't doing it out of strategy. They're doing it because watching Sung Jinwoo move through a battlefield removes every other option from the table. You follow or you get out of the way. The final battle is extraordinary, not just visually, though it absolutely is, but because of what it means. The boy who once barely survived a C-rank gate is standing at the center of a cosmic war, holding a line that no one else on Earth could hold. He didn't change who he is. He revealed what he was always capable of. There's a difference, and that difference is the entire thesis of this show. Season 2 ends not with celebration, with stillness. Jinwoo stands in the aftermath. Most of the world doesn't fully understand what just happened. They know something terrible was averted. They don't know how close it actually was, and Jinwoo doesn't tell them. He stands there, quiet, looking at something in the distance that the camera never quite shows us, and you realize he's not done. Whatever is still out there, whatever thread the season leaves deliberately uncut, he already knows about it. He's already calculated it. He's already decided to walk toward it. Season 3 is not going to be about what Sung Jinwoo becomes. He's already become it. Season 3 is going to be about what he chooses to do with what he is. This is Final Arc. I'm Echo. If you made it this far, you already know what's coming next. But before we close, let's talk about what Season 2 actually does that Season 1 couldn't. Season 1 was about proving Jinwoo could compete. Every arc was another test, another enemy, another dungeon, another ceiling to break through. The question was always the same: is he strong enough? And the answer every time was yes. That structure works. It's satisfying. But it has a limit, because once you've established that he can beat anything, the tension has to come from somewhere else. Season 2 finds that somewhere else. It stops asking whether Jinwoo can win. It starts asking what winning costs, what it means, what it makes him. The monarchs aren't stronger than every dungeon boss he's faced. They're different in kind. They're not obstacles in his path. They're part of the same story he's in. They know what he is. And watching Jinwoo come to understand what he is alongside them, through the conflict, not before it, gives the season a depth that pure action never could. The mother scene is the clearest example of this. You could build an entire season around Jinwoo getting stronger, and it would be entertaining. But the moment that stays with you is a quiet hospital room, because that's the scene that tells you what the power was always for. Not domination, not recognition. He just wanted the people he loved to be safe. Everything else, every shadow soldier, every level gained, every impossible fight survived. It was all in service of something that simple, something that human. And the show never lets you forget that, even as the scale goes cosmic and the stakes become civilization ending. That is why solo leveling works when it works. Because underneath the god-tier power fantasy is a story about a son. And that story is still there, in Season 2, even as everything else